Niantic dealt a heavy blow to the spoofing community over the weekend by completely shutting down the largest utility that spoofers use. And of course, I'm talking about Poké GO++. Now, this may not necessarily be the complete end of spoofing. Of course, there are other spoofing apps like iSpoofer that still exist, but it's only a matter of time before Niantic goes after these apps as well. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what implications this has for Pokemon Go, what it has for the spoofing community, and what this means for the future of Niantic games, because I really think because of games like Wizards Unite coming out, Niantic is going to start going after spoofers hard. They may not necessarily be going after spoofers outright, but they are going to be going after these apps. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. I really hope you enjoy it. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the spoofer lawsuit. What's good, everyone? It's me, it's Count, fresh off GO Fest weekend. I am completely tired, but I really wanted to talk about this mainly because, of course, for my channel, these are the topics that I love to cover. It looks like spoofing is going to be at its end really soon here. With Poké GO++ getting completely shut down, this means that a huge majority of spoofers now no longer have access to an app that allows them to spoof. Of course, there are other options, and there's plenty of other methods, but for a lot of spoofers who completely relied on this app, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to go completely legit, or they are going to quit Pokemon Go, which is the likely scenario based on from what I'm seeing from the spoofing community. A lot of people who spoof have been complaining that Niantic has constantly made it difficult for them to enjoy the game, whether through the design itself or simply by constantly creating these roadblocks for spoofers to be able to spoof. And of course, a lot of spoofers don't like the idea of a ban hammer looming over their heads constantly while they play. So of course, spoofers are getting a lot more frustrated with the game. They're getting a lot more frustrated with Niantic, and something like this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back for a lot of these players, and I guess I'm completely okay with that. Of course, I don't spoof myself. I don't ever think that it's necessary to enjoy the game. Of course, a lot of spoofers will disagree with that, but I really think the game as it's currently designed is just good enough. Like, you don't need to spoof in order to enjoy this game. But that's besides the point. Poké GO++ is going to be no more. It has completely shut down. The developers are not going to be updating it. And for anyone that currently has Poké GO++, it will continue to work until the next forced update. And then of course, you will not be able to use it anymore. And the fact that the developers are no longer going to be pushing out updates for it means it's going to be completely unusable. Now, like I mentioned at the top of this video, there's also a lot of other options like iSpoofer and a lot of other different apps and hacks that you could use to spoof. But I honestly think these are also going to be shut down really soon here. I think for a lot of players who use iSpoofer, it's pretty much a copy and paste of Poké GO++, at least according to spoofers. They just have different options and different functionalities, but it's completely the same. So a lot of people predict that that is going to be the next thing that Niantic goes after, and I really think they will. And with iSpoofer and Poké GO++ out of the picture, there may not necessarily be any spoofing options for iOS players. So because of that, it looks like a huge chunk of the spoofing community will just completely disappear. They'll just be Thanos. So what does this mean for Pokemon Go? Well, if we're looking at Pokemon Go as a whole, spoofing has definitely played a major part of it. Whether or not you agree with spoofing, they have certainly been a big part of the Pokemon Go community, maybe in a very negative way. They've always just kind of been there. And for legit players, they've either been something that's been a big thorn in their sides, or it's something that they just simply did not care about. So depending on how you are towards spoofers, well, this may affect you in a very big positive way, or it may be just a drop in the ocean, like nothing really has changed for you as a player. So yeah, I'm really curious to see what ends up happening for the legit community. I really think for gym battles, it's definitely going to be a huge plus. But for raiding, especially in rural areas, there may be a steep decline in activity, because I know a lot of people in rural areas who rely on spoofing in order to enjoy the game, mainly because the experience that they have as a legit player in their area is extremely minimal. So unless Niantic has something in mind to help out rural players, I just see this as a huge blow for rural players as well. But then again, I do know a lot of people who play in rural areas legit, and they will tell you that there's no excuse for spoofing. You can still enjoy the game, you just have to try a little bit harder. But yeah, it really is a matter of perspective. Everyone comes from different areas, everyone comes from different backgrounds, so yeah, I really don't know what to say about that. I currently play in a suburban area, and I also play in downtown Chicago very frequently, so I really don't have that rural perspective. So if you play in a rural area and you spoof or you do not spoof, let me know in the comment section below what you think about all of this. Now, of course, like I said, spoofers will definitely feel the pain of this lawsuit. To lose a big app like this means that people who were using PokéGo++ now have to find different options, or they have to quit the game. So honestly, it's just how it's going to be constantly with Pokemon GO spoofing. Niantic is always going to push back against it. So if you are spoofing, I really think you have to consider the fact that eventually there will be a point where spoofing will be completely shut down. There will be no spoofing, whether there be like something like iSpoofer or PokéGo++. Stuff like this will cease to exist. And of course, hacked versions of the game, Niantic will continue to make improvements and safeguards in Pokemon Go and all of their other games that prevent these hacks from happening. So there will be a day when spoofing does not exist. So if you spoof, that is something you have to keep in mind. There is a timetable for this whole thing. So yeah, I really think you should consider going fully legit, or if you really want to, maybe quit the game now and just cut your losses. Now, something that I think is very important to mention is the fact that when it comes to the spoofing community, it's kind of been dying out anyway. Like if you look at the YouTubers, they all just kind of stopped spoofing. Like for example, Jono is not doing any Pokemon Go content anymore. FSU ATL, of course, completely quit. Or the rumor is, of course, that he got a cease and desist from Niantic and he had to completely stop. I mean, there are a lot of things with the spoofing community that's starting to die out. Even Lifting and Zombies, like he's not really creating that much content anymore, and a lot of his content is starting to die out and he's playing other games. So it kind of tells you where the spoofing community is heading. Like it's not necessarily doing really well. And if you think about it, spoofing doesn't really mesh well with the design of the game. Like the game is meant to be played in a more slow of a rollout, but spoofers get all the stuff early and they get very bored really quickly, and they expect Niantic to crank out more and more content at a faster pace so that they could stay interested. But they're not going to cater to the spoofers, they're going to cater to the legit players, right? So legit players are not getting all the regionals and 100% and raid bosses like at the same rate that spoofers are, and you know, the slow rollout of content is going to work better for legit players than they would spoofers, and that's why spoofers are easily getting bored with Pokemon Go. And again, Niantic is never going to change their release strategy just to cater to spoofers. They're always going to cater to legit players. So spoofers, when they complain online that there's just not enough content, well, that's your own dang fault. Like, the fact that you spoof is what's creating this sense of boredom. If you play legit and you're getting Pokemon much slower, but you're still getting them, you know, that's going to be a much more enjoyable experience. And the fact that when you spoof, you miss out on a lot of the community aspects of Pokemon Go. Like, just one of the takeaways that I had from Pokemon GO Fest is that Pokemon Go, what makes it completely fun, what really drives this game is not its design. Its design is extremely simple. Like, there's nothing really intuitive about Pokemon Go, right? It's just all about going out and finding Pokemon. But what really makes Pokemon Go fun and special is actually the community aspect of it. With Community Day, with Pokemon GO Fest, to actually go out to these meetups and to go out to these locations and meet other people people, that's what makes this game special, and as a spoofer, you completely miss out on that. So yeah, with Poké GO++ going out, I really think this is a positive direction for Pokemon Go. It's gonna force a lot of spoofers to reconsider how they play, and maybe for spoofers, they will discover how awesome it is to play legit. I mean, every time I raid and I meet someone who says, I used to spoof, but now I am 100% legit, I celebrate that. I mean, it's just awesome to see that because it shows that they discovered something really special about this game, and the fact that anyone would go against that, I think is the wrong move. I think we should celebrate that and we should appreciate that every time it happens. So yeah, that's really all I have to report regarding spoofing. I just think it's very interesting that for them to do this during Pokemon GO Fest is just very telling because, I mean, you gotta think about it. With Pokemon GO Fest, they were just completely busy with a lot of other things. They had a lot of other things on their mind, and yet they still went after Poké GO++ during this time. So I really think they're taking this very seriously. They want to make a statement with this lawsuit that they are going to go after spoofers, especially with the release of Wizards Unite happening within a couple of days. I'm pretty sure they want to step it off right and make sure that Wizards Unite does not have a major spoofing problem like Pokemon Go did. I'm really curious to see how the next couple of months will pan out. Will they go after iSpoofing? Will they go after all of these other developers? I mean, they pretty much went after the developers of Poké GO++ head on. They sent them a cease and desist. They went after them pretty hard. I can understand why. I mean, they want to protect their properties. They want to make sure that Pokemon Go and Wizards Unite, all of those games are just in a very good place. They want them to be played the way that they want them to be played. So I can understand why they could go after these spoofers pretty hard here. And it looks like someone decided to mow their lawn at 6 a.m. right outside my window, so that's just great. But yeah, I think this is a good chance to close off this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, what you think about this lawsuit, what you think about the potential end of spoofing coming really close here. And something that I really wanted to say is that if you are a spoofer, do consider playing fully legit. I do understand that a lot of spoofers spoof because they played legit and they just didn't like it. I mean, this game is not for everyone, let's be real here, but honestly, with spoofing coming to an end really soon, do you really want to keep pumping money into this game? Do you really want to keep pumping time into this game? I mean, you might as well cut your losses now and just quit the game, or just start fresh and go fully legit. I promise you, there are a lot of great experiences playing legit, and I really think you should consider that. So yeah, there you have it everyone, this is the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell as well. I am Count Jinsula, and I'll catch you all later.